This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast, Halloween edition. Today we have a lovely neighbor on with us, and that is Selena Hicks of Georgian Life PHOTO BOOTH. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you?
A bit better, knowing that I hit the recording button this time around. Glad we caught it early. So super happy to have you on the show now that we're recording and we can actually dive deep into this conversation. For those who are watching this on video, you can clearly see me from the space shuttle as our Halloween edition. I am dressed up as Ken from Barbie, and something my fiance, she's dressed as Barbie. We have a little networking event tonight that we're going to go to, so we figured we'd amalgamate it all in one. Been looking forward to having you on the show. I've been seeing you around Barrie Business Awards, things like that, and I'm sure our listeners are chomping at the bit. Why don't we dive right into it? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
Okay. Georgian Life PHOTO BOOTH is technically owned by Georgian Life Media, Inc. About 15 years ago, I published a magazine. I purchased a magazine that was a monthly publication. And after about 5 years of doing that, I purchased a photo booth to complement the magazine that was published every month, because we were at events and people would always ask us where they could take a look at the photos when the photographer's taking the picture. And I was watching Dragon's Den one night and I saw a manufacturer of photo booths looking for some money, and I thought, oh, that'd be really fun. So I bought one 10 years ago. I do have 3 now, but it's great. We go to a lot of different community events and some private parties as well, like weddings and bat mitzvahs and anniversaries, things like that. And essentially, we go to the event and people use the photo booth, all the fun props, things like that. And then the pictures print out instantly and they can text or email their photos as well.
Yeah, I have a copy of one from a couple of years ago at the Barrie Business Awards. We have 2. One's in my closet, the other one's on the fridge. It seems like it's a popular spot. All the props, just super fun. You can play around there and get unique and let your personality fly.
Definitely. There's about 1 million combinations. I've had girls try to use every photo booth prop with every different friend, and it's endless, really. So, and usually we go to events year after year, the same event, and we usually switch up the props so people can always do something different. Usually at the beginning of the event, they take a nice one and they say, okay, go have a couple drinks, come back and get wild.
And you mentioned a photography component to it. Obviously, the photo booth, takes photos, but there's also a photographer on site for these events as well.
People can hire a photographer as well. The photo booth is typically in one spot for the entire event because we can't move the printer and everything around. So yes, you can definitely add a roaming photographer, not necessarily with printouts and things like that, but people often want a photographer maybe for a red carpet entrance or even just the setup, pictures of their silent auctions, things like that. So that's certainly an option.
Beautiful. And what area do you guys cover? Simcoe County, a little bit outside of that?
Yeah, definitely Simcoe County. I live in Wasaga Beach. My business is technically in Collingwood, but we do come to Barrie a lot, and that's great. I go to Barrie a couple times a week as well for my daughter's cheerleading practice, so I've got a lot of miles on my vehicle. Sometimes there's a travel fee. I don't like to go too far. Like I've only done one event in Toronto, and that was a lady from Barrie begging me basically to get there. So I did it as a big favor. There's lots of photo booth companies in the city, so I just tell people, hire someone down there. It's not my desire to be going to Toronto. Vaughan is pretty much as far. I get a lot of requests for Caledon, so I do go there, and Owen Sound, Aurelia. So yeah, it just depends.
I totally understand what you're saying. I did that highway for like 15 years straight. It's mad, and it's getting worse, especially on the 401. So I'm in the same boat as you.
day, and I'm not looking forward to it, but I'll do it.
So everybody's got a bit of a unique journey. You know, everyone starts out, and some people, I like to kind of joke around and say, you know, they come out of the womb and they know what they're doing, and they do that for pretty much their entire life. And then others a bit of a different path. Sometimes it's like the Zoom Mazda commercial, you know, it's all over the place and stepping stones, some step more than others. And eventually people land on their true passion and then do that. So I wanted to ask you, what's your journey been like leading up to, you know, what you're doing today?
It's really been all over the place. I've lived in Wasaga Beach for 12 years now, and that's the longest I've ever lived anywhere in my entire life. And I really do want to move, but my husband won't let me. You know, it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do. I was in straight from college. I was always involved in some sort of marketing business. But I was really a hippie at heart. So I went out west and I stayed out there for a while, and I did marketing for nonprofit organizations. And then that kind of turned into more tourism-based things like ecotourism. I always had a very creative mind, but not a lot of computer skills. So when I was in my late 30s, I went to graphic design school. So that was interesting. But it was really, really rewarding. And I did freelance graphic design for a good 10 years. And then I bought that magazine and then the photo booth. So I still work on a lot on a computer, but it's all really fun stuff. And I love my job now because I always say I go to all the best parties, but I am always working. But it's great. I do like the social component of it. I like that I'm providing these instant memories for a long, long time for people. I do work a lot of evenings and weekends, which can be, you know, hard on the family life, but I'm also there for my daughter Monday to Friday, typically, for whatever she needs done. So I think I'll be in this job for a long time. The technology is ever evolving. Like 10 years ago, you certainly couldn't text or email a photo right away or have it upload to a web gallery right away. So I do have to keep on top of the technology, which is great because I usually go to the Photo Booth Expo in Las Vegas every February to check things out. So yeah, I think I'll be in this industry for a while.
So there's two things I want to touch on. The Photo Booth Expo, we'll do that second because I'm just curious on like what that's all about. That's got to be so cool. And the first thing, do you still have the magazine?
I do not. So 2 years ago in October, I stopped publishing a print magazine. It was just too hard. I could never take a break. I had a fantastic team of advertising salespeople. I actually had to hire another graphic designer. I didn't do a lot of creative stuff anymore with the magazine because I was just bogged down by admin. And after COVID, through COVID, it was a true challenge. Our Georgian Life was all about covering events, and there was no events. So I wrote a lot of articles and did a lot of business profiles, which was great. But print costs went up atrociously, distribution costs. They couldn't guarantee me paper, all that stuff. So after a couple of years of that, I was like, it is just not worth it. I'm just going to do photo booths. And I was pretty confident the government would never shut everything down again. Who knows? If they do, well, I'm kind of screwed. But yeah, I just really couldn't do that. If I had a quarterly magazine every 3 months, it would be a bit more manageable. But a monthly was, you could just never, ever take a break.
Yeah, I hear you. And then let's talk about this Photo Booth Expo. What's that all about? What's some of your favorite stuff that you like to check out when you go there?
Well, generally I like to check out like the software, not necessarily the hardware of like the shell, the photo booth case, the things like that, but just, the AI technology has come a long way and people are starting to ask for that with photo booths. I still personally like taking pictures of people and having it look like themselves, not necessarily like an elf or a Barbie. But it can definitely add a bit of fun to your party for sure. The technology is not 100% with the AI. It tweaks a lot, so it's challenging. Honestly, I went looking for cool props and backdrops and things like that. That's what I'm always adding on to, different signs. I bought jumbo PVC, like liquor bottles, things like that, just so, next time you see me at a photo booth, I'll have some new props for you. And I'm always expanding my backdrops because, if people book us year after year, they like to switch it up typically. So, but the photo booth industry in the US is massive, and there's thousands and thousands of people there, hundreds of vendors. So I spent 3 days and lots of people speaking, like guest speakers. It was very educational, even after 10 years. A lot of the stuff is geared at people starting up a photo booth business these days, and I'm obviously way beyond that, but I still learn, and I like to network with the big wigs of the industry, people in the US that have 50 photo booths going on a weekend. Like they're in every city, like it's crazy. I don't ever want to be that big, but it's pretty inspiring, actually.
Yeah, definitely. So can you tell us, like, I'm really curious to ask you, in your business, in your industry, the photo booth industry, are there any like myths or misconceptions that you get out there?
Yeah, often people think it's like they'll call me up and say, we really want you at our event. And they sometimes think I'm just going to show up for free. Because pictures are always free at events. I don't like to do the pay per picture, things like that, because a lot of photo booths are sponsored by businesses to be at a community event. So I want as many people to use that photo booth as possible, their logos on their printouts. But I do get people calling me from a hosting a fundraiser saying, we'd love for you to be there, and just expect me to come for free, but I can't do that. So often if they don't have a sponsor already lined up, I can often help them find someone, like real estate agents and mortgage brokers, and some restaurants are really keen on sponsoring community events. So often it's just a phone call or an email and they're on board. I have the same as a lot of sponsors that do a lot of events. They love the exposure. So that's the biggest hurdle I have, is people just expecting me to come out to do it for free.
Yeah, that's that's pretty outlandish. That's our understanding, right? I mean, I don't know, some people are people.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to dive into this thing I call harmony, because as a business owner, we're so passionate about what we do that work doesn't really feel like work, right? Because we're so passionate, we enjoy what we do so much, so we can tend to work a little bit longer and not really kind of get upset by it, because we just love it. And so balance is not the right word, because that means it's completely even. So I like to call it a harmony, finding that tune that kind of works between working on and in your business, and then of course getting out there and doing what you love to do, hobbies, personal time, fun, I like to call it. So when you're not working on or in your business, what does Selena like to do for fun?
I love to play pickleball.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I definitely love my pickleball. So that's what I do quite a bit. Before pickleball, I would say I love to go hiking and kayaking and cycling. Now I play pickleball. I rarely do those things, which is so sad, but it's like, who's got the time? Most people that play pickleball are retired. So they've got all the time in the world, but I love being self-employed because I can go play like pickleball for a couple of hours a day during the week, 2 or 3 times. And I work on the weekends. So I do try to do something during the week. So pickleball is my number one, like, fun thing. I have a 13-year-old daughter in competitive cheerleading, so I'm there for her a lot. And she's also a coach in training in gymnastics and in tumbling classes and volleyball. So she keeps me busy. I am her chauffeur. So family time. My family's like immediate, like brothers and sisters and grandparents, they're all spread out. I'm not from this area, so we travel a lot to visit people in Kingston, Ottawa, Hamilton, Woodstock, Quebec, Winnipeg. So I do a lot of that. And we like to go away in the winters after cheer season is over. We like to head to Florida or go on a cruise or something like that. So yeah, but I don't have I do work a lot, but I don't feel like it is work. I don't mind anything I do in this job, luckily.
I am from Winnipeg originally.
Right on.
Who's out there? Part of your family that's out there?
So my closest aunt and cousins that I grew up with first moved to North Bay, and that was great. But then they just had great job opportunities in Winnipeg. So we've been out a few times, and this summer, luckily, they were in Petawawa visiting one of their sons. So I went to Petawawa to see my relatives from Winnipeg, which is a little bit easier than getting on a plane.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, when we were kids, we'd go up there once a year. We did that for like, I think 3 or 4 years in a row, and then ended up, taking some breaks because it's so difficult to try to have to do that. And then finally got an opportunity to go back again. We had 2 weddings to go to from the same family that my dad's best man, and he's got 3 daughters, and they're all the same age as me and my 2 younger sisters. And so the middle one got married in October last year, and then in April of this year we went back again for the eldest and their family. A lot of fun. It was nice to go see family and see my grandma and all that fun stuff. So,
was there a photo booth at these weddings?
There was in the first wedding. The second one, they just had, I think, a photographer that was kind of kicking around. So
okay. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Always love the props. I mean, that's what makes it so much fun because you get so creative with your photos, right?
Definitely.
And how did you get into pickleball?
Before COVID, my gym that I was going to turned into a indoor pickleball facility. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll check it out. So I did a learn to play pickleball, and I was kind of hooked right from the beginning, which is weird because like I said, I usually would go cycling, hiking, kayaking, like I've always been involved in outdoor activities, but more like never like team things. And pickleball's not a team, but like I never played racket sports. I don't know, but I think I loved just getting the frustration out at first. I was like, I'm just going to go pass the ball around. And like it started out kind of like that, I think, because I was not good. But it was just really fun. And there was a social component to it as well. And then, of course, COVID hit. But we could still play pickleball outside. So it just kind of filled some time. And yeah, in Collingwood, we're super fortunate to have an amazing indoor facility with 6 courts and a bar and like a lounge, and it's really awesome. And then Wasaga Beach has a really amazing outdoor courts, not as amazing as Barrie. I played in a tournament in Barrie, my first one ever this past summer, and they have amazing courts. So I'm a bit jealous there, but yeah, it's just, I'm just there to have fun. In the tournament, had a little bit of a competitive spirit, but
nice.
I just like the people. Generally, everyone's really friendly and nice and not taking each other too seriously. So that's what I like about it. And it's good exercise.
Sports culture, exercise, getting out there, getting a dopamine hit. I mean, that's what it's all about. I'm a big sports guy. I am very competitive. I play any sport, any game. That could be a dice game, card game, board game, lawn game, video game, whether it's on a rink, a field, a court, you name it, I'm in it. And I have not yet played pickleball. I was in Costco. This is probably back in the springtime, like late spring, maybe early summer. And it'd been a while since I've been in Costco, so I like to call it the man shop, where I did aisle by aisle. I wasn't in a rush, and you shouldn't be when you go to Costco anyway. just for your
No.
own psyche, right?
Yeah.
And I stumbled upon some really nice rackets, and I impulse bought them. So they're there. They're in my garage. I'm ready to go. And now I just got to, find the right timing to get out there and do a little research on how the game's played, what the rules are, so I can go out there and,
Yeah, there's a lot of communities that will start offering like learn to play pickleball in indoor facilities, like in school gyms, all that good stuff. So I would totally suggest just taking a learn to play, and then you're good to go, I would say. But showing up just to regular play when you haven't played before, I wouldn't suggest that.
Okay, duly noted. And your daughter, what's her name?
Autumn.
Autumn. Oh, great name. So competitive cheer. She's in volleyball. I can relate to that. Volleyball is my second favorite sport growing up. Loved playing beach and played for the Barrie Elites for a few years.
Nice.
Back in the day. So competitive cheer. You said you were a chauffeur. Is this all local to Simcoe County, or do you have to drive outside?
So she's at a cheer gym in Barrie, Cheer Pride All Stars. So she practices there 2 times a week. And then, she has, I think, 6 competitions that we do have to travel to, but all in Ontario and pretty close. Which she has one in a couple weeks in Brampton, and then we have one in Mississauga, one in Kitchener, a couple in Niagara. But that's as far as we go. So we just treat them as like mini vacays, get a hotel, hang out with some cheermates and cheer moms. And they're fun. They're really fun, and a lot of energy at these cheer competitions. If you haven't been to one, I suggest you check one out. There's actually one coming up soon in Barrie at the Saddlein Arena. It's really, really interesting if you haven't been. These girls, mostly girls, there's definitely a few males that are in the cheer world. Luckily, she has a male coach, and the owner of the gym is male, which is inspiring, but it's mostly girls. Her team is all girls, and they're true athletes. It's not just, using pom-poms and dancing around. They're holding each other up. My daughter's a flyer, so she's flying high in the air all the time and being caught for the most part. So a lot of trust. It's a really good team sport. I'm really glad she does it. It's not perfect, but it keeps her in shape, and a lot of lessons to learn.
Yeah. Like I could relate to that. Growing up in the world of sports and playing sports certainly keeps you out of trouble and gives you some valuable life lessons and things like how to be a team player and be a part of a group of individuals. And
she's an only child, so being part of a team and knowing the commitment involved has been really good for her.
Super cool. So in life, we walk this path. We pick our path. We walk that path. That's the path of life. And sometimes life just seems to want to get in the way. They'll throw things at us, throw obstacles at us, hurdles we got to overcome, life challenges. Sometimes it throws tragedies at us. Some people experience that a little bit more than others. And I've always been amazed at how human beings overcome these challenges, right? That mindset's a big thing, has to do with it. Finding silver linings, looking at the glass half full, that type of thing. And then moving forward, right? Because that's life, and life moves forward, time moves forward, and we have to move forward with it. So I wanted to ask if you've ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge that maybe you overcame, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, or maybe you took some silver linings from it.
Definitely. My father died suddenly about 10 years ago, so that was awful. My daughter was 2 years old, so that was really, really hard. It's hard to talk about still, and that's 10 years ago. But then my mom also passed away about 6 years ago after dealing with a horrible bout of cancer, and it eventually took her away from us, which she was my rock. She moved up to Wasaga Beach when she retired, and she was really there for me, my daughter. Having a business that you work a lot of evenings and weekends, she always took her. no problem, no questions asked. Luckily, I still have an amazing mother-in-law in the picture that does that too. But that's definitely the biggest life challenge is losing my mom for sure.
Yeah, it's obviously something very, very, very difficult, especially when it's sudden like that. And I've lost some people as well too. I'm fortunate enough, I'm still young, still have my parents, and eventually, we all have that date stamp, and we never know when it's going to come. And trying to do our best to live in the moments. And when things like that happen, I mean, I'm around a few people in my closest circle that have experienced things like that, and learning a lot from them on living in the moment and cherishing things while they're still around. And really appreciate you sharing that with us. So what would one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
I want them to know that it's a really fun thing to have a photo booth at their event. And a lot of people assume, unless they've seen me at a community event, is that we do mostly weddings and things like that. But that is a very small percentage. I really do seek out events. If I see an event that I think a photo booth would be great at, I often reach out and say, would you like a photo booth at this event? I can probably help find you a sponsor, so there's no cost to you as a nonprofit or a charity or community event. So that's what I want people to know. It's there to add an extra element of fun and create memories. If you've used the photo booth, you clearly know this, but a lot of people haven't still, after 10 years of doing this, people still say, oh, wow, what a great business this is. And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for 10 years. I can't believe you haven't been in a photo booth. But, smaller communities just, and they don't often work it into a budget. So it's more of a thing, like if you're planning an event, work it into your sponsorship levels. If you want a photo booth, just, add another tier, entertainment sponsor for $500 or $1,000 and make some money on it. Things like that. People love to sponsor photo booths. Businesses love that as a marketing. Not every business, it's not for everyone, but certain ones that want their logo or whatever, their contact information or a little promotion on the printouts and on the digital copies that people are emailing and posting. Yeah, that's what I want people to know and to book in advance, because we're really busy and we can't really accommodate last minute often. I do have photo booth attendants. We do have 3 photo booths. So often on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, we have both of our photo booths booked out already. Again, these community events book us every year. So if you're having an event, it's, right now I'm actually booking weddings for 2025. People generally book those out a year in advance. We're booked for New Year's Eve. Don't call. I'd have to buy 10 more photo booths to accommodate everyone that wants us on New Year's Eve, and I'm just not going to do that. So yeah, just book in advance. It's like anything else. If you're having a big event, like your venue, your DJ, your catering, get your photo booth locked in, because there's not a lot of us around.
And what would you say to somebody who's never been in a photo booth, right? Because you could take that word literally and think of like, oh yeah, it's where you go, in the box, and then the curtain closes and you sit there and it snaps 4 photos for you. Maybe clear that up for some people who have maybe never done one before.
Well, we call our photo booth an open air photo booth. There's no box, although those they're coming back, but I don't think I'll do that. So yeah, people just stand at the backdrop after they've selected their props. I usually say, grab a couple things. You're going to have 2 or 3 photos. You only have 5 seconds in between each one. So switch up your pose, switch up your props. I'll pass them to you if you need me to, and just have fun. And then people do that, and then they kind of wait a couple seconds, and then I hand them the printouts, and they're like, wow, that was amazing. It prints so fast. And I'm like, yeah, now you have your printouts. You want to text or email that to yourself? Like, oh, you can do that? Yes, of course, let's do that. So that's kind of the experience that most people have. And Kids love the photo booths. We do a lot of school events. There's always a big lineup. And ladies also really love the photo booth. Sometimes it's hard to get your husband in there, but I'm glad you're keen. You're all about it. So
love it. We love it.
If people don't like their picture, a lot of people say, I don't like my picture being taken. I'm like, well, put a hat on, put some glasses on, put a sign in front of your face. No one will even know it's you. So it's not, I'm going to take your passport or driver's license picture now. It's like, this is fun.
Yeah, you create memories. It's a good time.
Definitely.
So I'm sure there's definitely some people who are interested, want to gather some more information, learn a little bit more. So for those who are, what would be one of the best ways that they can go ahead and reach you?
Definitely. We have a couple different websites. They're all pretty much the same, but collingwoodphotobooth.ca or barryphotobooth.ca or georgianlife.ca all have our packages, how much it costs. We're very transparent. There's no hidden anything. If you look on there, you'll see everything that it's included, any other extra add-ons that you can add but are certainly not necessary. We have some sponsorship information. So yeah, the website, definitely. You can fill out a contact form right from the website inquiring about your date, just giving us a bit of information on your venue, the date, what kind of party it is, and we get back to you pretty much right away if, letting you know if we're available or not, and we can send a proposal for you to view, and if you like it, you sign your life away and get your date locked in. And then we show up, we do everything. Like, we've been doing this a long time. We get to the venue and we don't need anything from anybody. We're good to go. So we'll be ready when you want us to be.
Plug and play.
Yes.
Love it. Well, thank you very much for coming on. That was a lot of fun. Great conversation. And hopefully maybe we get to do this again down the line.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about it.
No worries. Talk soon.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.